Do you remember the Chinese place in down the street from ENC?
That's the one.
And that's the place that I went to with, who was it? I don't know. I went to that place with somebody right before we left for Christmas break. Was it you?
I don't know.
And that's when my key broke in the ignition of my car.
Oh, yes.
That's why I got stuck at ENC. It's all because of that key. My entire life could have been completely different if that key didn't break.
Well, if there is a God, thank you for breaking that key. Not for me, because I wish that like you were still there for my person.
Yeah, but they put me on the path that I'm on now.
Exactly.
Who knows? Who knows?
I love that stuff. It's like the butterfly effect, right? You just
I know. We talk about that all the time. Like, would we have still met? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if there's souls that are meant to meet, like, would we just have met some other way? Maybe even earlier or later, or I don't know.
Okay, so are you believers in soulmates?
I mean,
I love that both your heads went up.
We're like those dogs that hear a high-pitched sound.
You have to think about it.
I feel like, I don't know. We feel like we've asked this of each other before.
I guess part of my struggle on answering that is I feel like soulmate has such, like society has put such a connotation, definition, like parameters around it.
Yeah.
That it my first inclination is to say no because of like this Disneyified version of soulmate. But then when I pause and think about like souls being energy,
yes,
and without bounds and without form, then I don't think it's far-fetched to say that we at least have connected, you know, if there are multiple lives or multiple renditions of this, that somewhere along the lines we connected in such a way that our energies have said, you know what, in subsequent lives, we will find a way to connect. Not quite sure like if that means it's always going to be something deep, but I would wager based on the connection we have, I feel like that original meeting was very profound.
So you went from soulmates to reincarnation.
Well, that's the way I think of it too, actually.
Yeah. In every life, the same souls.
Then what's the argument? Like, what's the backstory if there is no reincarnation? So we are all.
Why do you keep getting higher? My torso is already so much shorter than yours. And I'm sitting on a pillow. And you just keep going like you're making it, you're Eric, doing it work. You're doing it on purpose.
Stop showing off your torso.
I'm doing it
because I'm all legs.
I know.
The funny thing is, we're like the same height, but when we're sitting, I'm more leg and less torso, and he's like all torso with these little legs.
Right. If I didn't know you, I'd think you were like 4'10".
What is it?
A Dachshund?
Dachshund.
Tell me about your Dachshund. Yeah.
What do they call them?
A Dachshund.
A Dachshund.
Your Dachshund is so big.
His Dachshund is so much bigger than mine.
Yash Dachshund.
I'm just so worldly and well-traveled. They're so muddled.
Yeah, yours is the correct way. Everyone else has been saying it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yes, Dachshund.
But like, I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show Time Traveler's Wife or the movie, but I don't know if the TV show takes liberties or if it's the same rules for the movie or not, but he travels against his will, like he just pops into different times or whatever. But so I don't know how to explain it. If I'm gonna just disappear from this moment and go to 1990, I will still see myself as 9, because I'm now there. But then because I'm a time traveler, I've been doing that for years
on an infinite loop.
Sometimes there's certain places where there's 4 of him or 3 of him.
Wild. Okay.
Or certain energies that suck in, like continue to bring him there. Yeah. Like when he witnessed his mom die.
Whoa.
So he keeps going back to that moment, and there's like 10 of him watching, you know, him at 12, him at 15, him at 30, him at 36, and they're watching his mom die every time. But like,
wild.
One of the things, the reason I brought this up, in the rules of this world that the TV show has set up, you can't change anything.
Yeah.
So there's no like cause and effect of like, oh, I dropped the plate here, or I didn't make her do this here, or he's like, things happen the way they're supposed to happen, and it's just there's nothing I can do about it.
Fascinating.
And the fact that he is back there and does something, his future self already knew that, like, that happened because it happened.
It's wild.
Does that make sense?
It
it's
does.
Like it all it's
this
like
is this is all a major mind fuck. And at the same time, like, I think there's something to be said about where we are right now, when that whole game of what could have happened, right? Doesn't matter. There's no alternative. This is what happened. So it's like, oh, if I only, who knows what that would have brought about, right? You know,
so it has to be meant to be because it is.
Or I'm not much of a meant to be kind of person, but I could, like, I don't believe in everything happens for a reason. I'm not much of a destiny person. I think that there is something within us that drives us towards like a soul connection to something. Like our souls are connected. I do believe that, but I'm not a man.
But here's the thing, though.
Yeah, you can push back on it. I don't know.
I mean, no. I feel like if something happens and it just, there's nothing you can do about it, we cannot rewind.
No.
Then obviously it's meant to be, because it is. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. You haven't convinced
But you're
me.
like, you still haven't gotten me yet. No, because like that key broke in that car.
Yeah.
It was meant to be, because what else happened? No, it just if someone was going to write my story, you have to write the key breaking there, because it broke there.
Right. In order to tell,
you can't go back. So in the plot of my life and in the sequence of my life, and like in this, watching this TV show has got my brain in this place. But like, if I were to jump back and watch that, and like try to warn him, hey, don't put your key in there, something else in this reality in the show would cause it to break anyway, or I would be stuck there anyway.
Gotcha.
For whatever reason. Like, because I was just meant to not finish ENC.
Right. So that's the destiny part. Like, something's going to block you from doing this thing. Something's going to them doors going to open for. So I guess that actually brings up a question for me, because I could go down this road forever, and I'm actually more. I could. Here's something that I've been thinking about. So there's two things. One is, I know that you grew up, Mike, believing in the thing. You did Bible quizzing, which for anyone that hasn't, Mike mentioned it in the last time we talked. If anyone hasn't looked it up, look up what Bible quizzing is and watch a video, and you will not be disappointed. And then Eric, I know you were more like, you went weekly, you did Bible studies, but it wasn't like your life. It wasn't. You
didn't do Bible studies.
He said it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, we did like vacation Bible
school. Yeah,
that's like camp, no?
Sure, yeah. Okay, the Bible studies might be extra, but you went to church every Sunday. You did VBS, and like, is there? I mean, we just talked about destiny and souls, and my Christian mind that I've been so formed in, that I don't necessarily practice anymore, is trained to go towards. Well, is there some kind of spiritual practice for you now? Are you engaged in some kind of spiritual practices or values that contribute to your life now, or is that kind of a thing of the past for both of you? And both answer. You know, I obviously want Mike to answer for Eric as well.
Right. Really,
He's just here for eye candy. You want to go first?
Sure. So I guess, as I understand the question, do we still have any sort of, do we do anything spiritually?
You have a practice.
Yeah. So like, it could be meditation. It could be going to a, yoga, a group, anything like that.
I guess that's a no.
However you define, no, and Eric, and however you define spirituality, because that could just spirituality. This could be defined as spirituality right now. This conversation of connection between people,
between spirits.
Yep, it could
souls,
be.
Yeah.
Well, and I think what people, at least for me and how I understood it when I was younger, is that spirituality and religion were one and the same.
So not.
Right. Oh, fuck. Could be further apart.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. it's almost religion wishes it had spirituality.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Or, I mean, I think spirituality would ruin religion. So maybe because religion is about maintaining authority and balance and control, at least in our experience of it, right? Spirituality is about openness to what the universe has to offer you in many ways. And this is a very conflicting thing. But religion seems like the fact that you associate that is because religion has been the container for the way we think about spirituality.
I feel like religion is like man's way of trying to understand spirituality gone amok, like turned into a business.
Yeah, right.
Or like,
well, I mean, you think about it. So to answer your question, you know, these may be sort of related answers. You know, I guess again, by trying to bifurcate, but I was going to say, like, at night, for the longest time, and maybe a little bit here and there, I felt like guilt that I needed to pray.
Whoa.
Before I went to sleep.
Well, I pray every night before I sleep.
And to the point, like, I would think about it and I couldn't go to sleep until I actually went through the motions of saying a prayer.
Just in case.
Right. and
Wow,
it's like
Eric.
such a mental block, you know, I think that I cannot go to sleep. I guess
Do you still do that?
So I do it. I pray every now and then.
Yeah.
Not every night. And there's been a few nights, you know, where my head hits the pillow and wake.
Oh, good thing you woke up.
Yeah. But, you know, for me, more and more, I found my prayers, and I don't know, again, I don't know if this isn't, you know, like American Christianity, i.e. capitalism. And then I felt like my prayers when I was younger were always asking for things for me.
Right.
Like to my benefit. I don't know if this is the gospel or that Joel Osteen or whatever prosperity gospel or but I was always asking for things for me to benefit me and to enrich me. And now, you know, I certainly ask for forgiveness of, you know, I say my sins, but for me that's when I've been less than the standard I've set for myself, when I feel like I've wronged someone.
Who are you asking? What are you asking?
Well, I'm asking, I would say God, you know, and not in the antiquated, you know, white Anglo-Saxon daddy with a beard.
Yep. Old man in the sky.
Right.
Right.
For me, God, I do believe is an entity that exists. But if God is so powerful as the Bible would say, and it's just so everything, then doesn't that mean there's no way we can truly describe and contain? And so to your point about religion, it's man's way of trying to put all of this in a box.
Trying to define something that's not definable.
And so when they can't fit it all in a box, they cherry pick the things that they can comprehend. And to your point, Dave, that comprehend and then in a same conduit give them authority. Because as you said, religion is about authority and just how much it's all about what you're doing wrong.
Exactly.
And how bad you are for the most part in order to, and then to get to that goodness, that salvation, you have to follow X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z, you know, just happens to benefit a certain group of people.
Yeah, exactly.
And
there's
harm
so much fear.
a lot more.
There's so much fear. Like, I mean, that's even what they call, you know, I'm a God-fearing man.
Yeah. It's very interesting because what'd you say?
I said, I'm sorry. I was like, why should we fear God?
Well, yeah, that's one of the things that, and again, I want to, people on the podcast know I'm not a practicing Christian anymore. But Jesus is always saying, do not fear. Like he's always saying it. But so much of the way we experienced Christianity has been about fearing what God might do to us if we don't pray at night, if we don't say this thing, if we don't do this thing. It is about fear.
You know, if we were in a taking that fear, if we were in a relationship with someone and had that fear, that would be abuse.
You got to get out of that.
It would be abuse. It would be called abuse.
You wouldn't tell someone to stay in that relationship.
No, like, call the cops.
Yeah,
exactly. It's so true. All right. So thank you. That was like, so you still believe in God, Eric, and you have and then Mike, you also do, and you pray every night.
Well, not in that way. So he's on his knees, but not praying. Oh my God.
There it is.
I say things I'm grateful for every night.
Yeah, he
Oh,
does.
beautiful.
Before I go to bed. This is a serious podcast.
Wait, what? No,
What
no.
podcast are you on? I'm
Right,
having
I don't know
fun.
what you're talking about. And seriousness never at the expense of levity. So we always get
to. Yeah, I always try to think of at least 3 things that I'm grateful for before I close my eyes. Or my eyes are closed sometimes when I'm thinking them, but before I go away.
Go away. And do you arrive when you wake up?
Ooh.
And sometimes I'll end up with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and sometimes it's
What? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8
things.
I know just how quickly your list grew.
It's very long. It
There's a lot
depends on
to
how
be
long it
grateful
takes you to
for.
fall asleep.
No, there's a lot to be grateful for.
That's very
so true.
Because
So true.
sometimes I'll have to I try to make it different every night.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you have to fish for something like, what am I grateful for today? Like maybe today wasn't a great day or something,
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm grateful that I got to point B safely and then back home. I could have been on a train where someone shot it up. Or
Absolutely.
Whatever.
Absolutely.
Like I'm grateful that I woke up today. I'm grateful that I have running water. I'm grateful for the invention of air conditioning. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Or I'm just grateful
Amen.
for like whatever.
Yes.
And I just it's changed my life, I think. But and in a lot of rock bottoms, I've found that somehow I tend to go through those times still with gratitude. Like
wow.
I'm still able to find something.
Wow.
And he can attest to that. That's another podcast, that a specific rock bottom I'm thinking of.
Okay.
But yes, I was surprised myself that I like went through that with so much gratitude. It wasn't obviously it wasn't all easy, but I still found ways that I was like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this, and it helped. That I don't know,
like
and
keep you grounded.
Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now.
Yeah. Okay.
Changed my life.
Well, so he is a spirit. He's be seen as like a spiritual teacher. Yeah. So in like a very real way, you both have spiritual practices that people that I would call. I mean, who is it? Rob Bell says has a book called Everything is Spiritual. I've always believed. I've always believed that. No, you go. You're the guest.
Like Eckhart talks about, like a lot of the things he talks about. He's like, look, I'm not religious, and I'm going to mention certain things to kind of help you tie it all together. Whether you're religious or not, you can get the point of this book.
Yeah.
Basically, the point of the book is all we have is right now, this moment.
Yes.
The past, the future, that's where like ego or whatever you want to call it, the mind, that voice likes to live, because that's the only place it gets power and it can survive.
Wow.
So it tries to bring you back or in forward in fictional places. The imaginary future, the dead past.
Yeah.
And we miss so much of right now. And so I feel like Eckhart allowed me to really like, that meditation before was just like, meditation, what is that? Yeah. Or like, I would just try to sit there and I would, I thought the goal was to quiet the thoughts and like, but that's resisting the now. If there's a thought, just look at it and let it pass. But like,
yes.
And then I realized that like in my stillness is when I can like feel so much joy, even after anxiety. If I just sit and stare at it, it just turns into joy. And so I realized that my natural state is joy and peace. And that I just like, clouds just kind of go across the sun sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's the sun's still there, Yeah. And so
Michael, I love that. What do you mean what? Like you just described like a beautiful like inner spirituality that feels nourishing and like grounds you. And I love the thought of just a lot of traditions have this, practicing the presence of now. Like Thich Nhat Hanh wrote something about that around like, I'm doing the dishes just to do the dishes, not to get through it, not to like think about what's happening.
That's what I told you, right?
Really?
Like anything you do, just be there.
Be there doing it.
Not as a way to get to the next thing, even if it's mundane or something routine.
Yeah.
And it just enriches your entire life.
Absolutely.
And you realize how much you're asleep at the wheel.
Speaking of that, how much time do we sit in traffic wishing that we were where we're going?
Yeah.
When so much of us have rage in those settings, maybe practicing a presence of, wow, I'm so grateful that I can drive, or listening to a podcast, or listening to music, or meditating, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
And like what I was saying before, and I got off on a tangent, as I often do.
I love it.
But most times I somehow find my way back onto the road. But one of the things Eckhart was saying was like, it's all trying to say the same thing.
Yeah.
So many religions, so many things so Jesus said, be still and know that I am God. So, Christians, it's literal. This man is saying he's God. Be still and know. What does that even mean? Be still and know that I'm God. In that rock bottom, Dave, when I was going through my worst and my anxiety was at my peak, and I just sat there, and like all I had was nothing to do but just be still. And I was just like, once that joy came through in this dark time, all of a sudden I was like, where's all this light and joy coming from? Be still and know that I am God. I'm not saying I'm God, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Color Purple, she says, God is inside me, and everyone else that was or ever will be. We come into this world with God. And when you finally look inside, I found it. Like,
you can get a gig anytime. You still sing.
We're all God, because He made us.
Yeah.
He. Even using a pronoun, I feel weird, you know?
Yeah, I don't use pronouns.
It's not a human. It's not a man.
No.
Like, God is literally, in my belief, it's like all of consciousness, all of creation, all of everything. Like,
that's beautiful. Okay, Mike, that's like
the breath in my body.
Now you're speaking my language. So, okay, I got one for you. This is gonna, I think this is beautiful. In the Hebrew Bible, and a lot of people, we grew up calling it the Old Testament. I don't call it the Old Testament. I think it's very disrespectful to people who only have that testament. It's the Hebrew Bible. It's the Jewish Bible. So to call it old is like, well, that was, but it's still really nourishing to people. And the way that God, when Moses goes up the mountain and is
not personally, but
no, right. But like, when Moses talks to the burning bush and like meets God and all this.
Yeah.
Right. So Moses asks for God to say, well, who should I tell them sent me? Like to Pharaoh. The name of God is not pronounceable. It sounds like the wind. It sounds like breath. The name Yahweh that we've heard? That's not the name. It's like, it's like breath. So God is breath. God is movement. God is just being, existence. So if you try to say like, the way people say it's like, I will be who I will be. I am who I am. It's just stop trying to put some kind of name or religion on it. Once you've done that, you've taken all the power away from what it means to connect in a very deep and meaningful way as humans. And I mean, everything, you're so right. I love that. That's like so nourishing and life-giving to me. So beautiful. Both of you
the
have
silence, the sounds.
Yeah.
The silence that leaves space for the sound.
Yeah.
It's like the entire planet. It's like such a symphony.
Yeah. Okay. Jeez.
Yeah.
Eric looks very
okay. Jeez.
Eric looks very pensive back there. I'm curious what's going on in your mind with this. Do you have anything to contribute to that? Because we're
contemplating divorce.
No.
I just remember what accounts he does know about and those he doesn't. So I think I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. All right. So one of the things that I left wondering about, because of those of us who grow up, I speak to so many people who are like ex-evangelicals. I don't know if you've heard that word, but we're not evangelicals anymore. We've exited evangelicalism. I talk to a lot of people like that, obviously, because that's my experience. But I'm also like, I care about that and I don't. I want to leave that behind, you know? It is a part of me, it will always be there, but I want to engage in the world in a meaningful way now, in a way that makes sense to me now. And so I always think about what are people's spiritual practices now, if they have any. So that's something that came up. And also, we ended our last conversation talking about how the two of you still sometimes feel in public like you're not sure about being like, hey, here we are, we're married, we're holding hands. You know, right now it's June, you're wearing a pride shirt. All of this month is about being proud to be who you are as a human being. And I can't help but think about how much of our society is still living in the past of what it meant to be an American, a Christian, a person that's a citizen of this country. It still is so brand new to be able to live your life in a way that's full. Like, how do you experience that now, if at all? And like, what are some of the fights that you still feel like we need to, or movements forward that we still need to make?
Oh,
big questions, but I'm curious. Yeah, where do you start?
So for me, I believe I'm living my authentic life. I feel like when you live an authentic life, I'm just seeing like this big bright ball of energy, but you notice those who are dim.
Wow. Yeah.
And in order, you know, that's true. And since they're like a negative energy, they need positive energy to, you know, to keep alive. So then you see there's these gray dull balls just going around to ball, you know, the brighter ones stealing their light, because that's how they feed and that's how they eat.
Yes.
And so for people who don't live authentically and are repressed or hate themselves, that hole inside of them needs to be fed. And so then I guess the phrase is hurt people hurt people.
Right, right.
So, you know, again, to answer your question, I just notice a lot of people who are hurting inside and who, but for some block in their brain, cannot realize their true authentic self and how happy they would be, even if their economic situation didn't change, even if, you know, they still live in the same house or whatever.
Right.
But they would be freed of their prison.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I see that, and that just, you know, sort of segues into your question about the fights that we have left. I think we have to fight this sort of hateful limitation on people in the sense of, you're only ever going to be able to be this version of yourself.
Yeah.
You will not, all this up here, this potential, no, it's out of the question. Don't you even think about it. To think about it means you're going to hell. Or whatever punishment. And so I think and this may be part of our evolution, is that we have to, when we start thinking logically enough and start expanding something inside our brains, you know, that, because what do they say? We only use 10% of our brains.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that was a myth.
Well, I think some people use that little.
Yeah. Right.
But I would say we need to fight against humans' inability, you know, just fear.
Yeah.
Fear of the unknown, fear of the foreign, fear of the things that we deep down enjoy, but then society has said that we shouldn't enjoy. But even that limitation is due to fear.
That's so good.
An unpopular response.
Whoa. Are you going to argue with Eric right now?
Well, no, everything he said is true. I just
has an alternative fact.
No, I'm just tired.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm tired of fighting for, you know, I've been Black for 30 plus years.
40 almost.
Plus, well, you can add anything to 30, Dave.
Yeah, like 10, and you get 40.
Wow.
My apologies.
30 plus years. Well, I didn't say plus what.
I shouldn't have corrected you that way. That was yeah. You're trying to
no,
live.
but you know, I've been Black in this country for a while. I've been gay, not only in this country, but in my family.
Yes.
So it's just, girl, I'm tired.
Yeah.
What do we need to fight? I don't know, because I'm not fighting it.
No, that's
I'm living
that's
my
real.
life.
That's
I'm
real.
accepting what is. I'm accepting people for who they are, even when they're,
horrible.
Well, and you're saying that as someone who continually experiences this, like this attitude towards you in your family.
Right.
So you're like, it's not like
So
you're
I've
just
had
like,
to accept, yeah, I've had to accept it on many levels.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's real.
So
I don't know if that's
I'm
unpopular or not, but
I mean, and not to say, that we shouldn't be trying to progress and be a part of that progression and change, but I don't know. I guess I'm being the change I want to see.
Yeah. Well,
all I can do this is all I can control.
Exactly. And when you say that,
I can barely do that.
When you say that, first of all, like my heart is like genuinely like sad. I'm sad. I'm heartbroken that that's like a reality of, because I exist in this skin with this attraction, I'm exhausted and I'm just done with that. At the same time, I'm thinking, well, you being you is an act of resistance. You being you is fighting, even though you don't see it that way.
Exactly.
It's strength. And it's like the way that you show up, the way that the two of you are just you in a culture that, is interested in giving you a little bit of space 1 month a year with rainbows on their windows and all sorts of stuff to get, to make money off of it. For the most part, this culture is still not sure how to think about you.
Right.
And you're just like, you know what, I'm me. That to me is an act of resistance.
I'm me. The fight belongs to the allies. I'm taking a seat. Yeah. Pass me a drink.
Well, do you trust the allies to do what needs to be done?
No.
There it is. There it is.
But I'll just sip on my drink and hope for the best.
Well, there are people. See, this is the thing though about fights, and when they have a long lasting, when they last a long time, is that new people come, they have energy, younger generations.
Well, who's it? Martin Luther King said it. He's like the arc toward
justice.
What? Justice is long.
It's long,
right?
It's long,
but it bends.
It bends towards justice. Yes, the long arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Yeah.
Or sometimes you do things and you plant seeds that you plant seeds for a tree you'll never sit under or whatever.
Right.
Like there are things we're never even going to see in our lifetime.
Right.
But
you're enjoying that. You're enjoying that shade in your lifetime, even though we live in a culture that's not fully there.
Right. I'm enjoying some shade that was planted hundreds of years ago.
Right.
But I'm also, I can sprinkle a seed or two for for some more protection, some more shade.
Well, that's lovely. And I wanted to make a joke about you sprinkling seed, but I'm not.
Yes.
Oh my God. You too.
Well, he doesn't like talking about
clean
sex.
This up.
No, we're not. So just
he doesn't like feeling naughty.
As a person who doesn't go to bed and feel the need to be like, God, please forgive me anymore. Because that was a nightly, if I don't pray and something happens, I'm going to hell. Right.
Yeah.
I don't feel that need anymore. I can talk about sprinkling seed and not feel like I said something wrong. But the thing is,
I don't think that's anything wrong with that.
I'm playing.
I think God has a sense of humor, duh.
Well, yeah, whatever. But God's not like the consciousness thing is what I'm curious.
Right.
About.
That's what I'm saying. Because if it exists, then obviously it exists.
Yeah.
We laugh for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
one of the things that's
the creator created it. Or whatever.
You know what I mean?
Well,
one of the things that's been very harmful, and I think, it's been really interesting to hear your spiritual journeys and where you're at, like knowing that the Bible has been used in a way that's false and actually not the verses that have been used to condemn gay people are not actually condemning of gay people. Like Sodom and Gomorrah is not about what people think it is.
Right.
Those kinds of things is like, I feel the need as someone who studied those things to correct that bad narrative. Like one of the reasons that men were to only have sex with women and only to do it in particular ways because spilling seed was seen as bad. It's the potential for life. Your job back then is to expand the community. So if you're wasting seed, you're not expanding the community. You're an abomination. Like you don't belong with us. So like masturbation, all this other sort of stuff is taboo, is still to this day, because we believe what European men who only cared about power and control tell us about these sacred texts from thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
You know, so it's beautiful to have people like Eckhart Tolle and other spiritual teachers who can remove some of that baggage for us. And we can see what you described, which is like balls of light and joy that can bring us through very hard times. Because ultimately, the reason that I think these conversations matter so much is because a lot of people are wondering, what do I do now that I've exited this oppressive way of thinking, whether it's whiteness or Christianity, which actually is one and the same, you know, like, or any kind of system that you've broken out of, you're still looking for something to ground you or to connect you. And these conversations and hearing the way people experience spirituality in life, to me, is so nourishing. You know,
it's probably one of the things that keeps people who are very religious in their religions. Like I know my mother always talks about, you know, there's nothing like, something bad happens or this, whatever, and God this and God's willing and da 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 da. And I think one of the reasons it's like, she's like, well, don't you want that? And I'm like, I got it.
Yeah.
I know the joy you're talking about. It's just, you think it has to be one way, but it's right here too, honey. You know what I mean? It's like, it's right here too. We all are born with it.
Yeah.
And so, but see, Christianity tells you the opposite. You're born with like sin, and you're gonna burn.
There it is.
You're just born bad.
There it is.
And so you need to like, but it's like, we're actually all born with it. That's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love that, Mike. Because there's, I heard this guy recently talk about, because Adam sinned, he passed that seed down, and that's why we're born. It was this ridiculous thing. I'm like, you have to, it all has to fit together neatly in order for it to work. So a person that like your mother or mine or some other people that we know that are still in that world, they need it to feel safe. It's not about joy, it's about safety. And you like, we live in a very chaotic world where you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to go to a supermarket and there's going to be a shooter, or go to school. So because people know that this is a world that we, need to survive in, that it's hard to survive sometimes, they need something to ground them in that.
They need help. Yeah.
And
then that thought of like, well, even if I don't make it in this life, there's another one, and it's going to be even better.
Man, you have to think that way, or else you fall apart. But that joy that you just described actually is real now, because you don't have those fences, you don't have the control needs, you don't have the fears that you had before of what's going to happen to me after this, what's going to happen to me now. Eric,
I still have a little fear about death, but only because I'm human.
Well, yeah,
and also because I love this guy. And so sometimes I think about like, if I die, him like finding my body and like what that would do to him, or like I always think about, like last night I had like a little moment of panic, nothing new, right? But I was like standing watching TV, I had my headphones on, he was asleep already, and there was like a sharp something, like just a brief like sharp pain somewhere. I was like, I didn't know what it was, but I was like, it just passed, and that would have been the end of it. But like I had a slight spiral where I was like, what if I'm having a stroke? What if I died right here?
Right.
And then Eric wakes up tomorrow
to your body, like, just lifeless.
And I'm just my body just in the living room. And then so that wrecked me for a minute.
That's a brutal thought. Sheesh. Eric, did you know that was going on at all?
No, I just found out.
At least you didn't find me.
But it's not the first time he said something like that.
Well, I'm an actress. You know, it's like
she's never not acting.
Well, no, it's like I think sometimes I don't know what it is. I think actors, we have this sick like obsession with the human experience, and that's what it is really, is trying on a character, or like good acting is not acting, right?
Yeah.
And
right.
I succeed half the time. Half the time I'm faking it, but half the time it's like good when you're really good acting, and people that get awards for acting is bless you. It are people that aren't acting. They have the words up here and they know what the scene's supposed to do, but then they're just being.
Right, exactly.
And that's the trick, is to just be. And so when you're an actor, when you go through these emotions and these feelings, you grab onto them in case you need them, because you're like, oh, that's what that feeling is.
Okay.
Or that's what that is. And like, so I've told him a million times since meeting him, I've become 10 times better actor.
Wow.
Because I now know what like that love feels like. Whoa. And the thought of losing it, or him finding me, or like I can just weep just thinking of it. You know what I mean? And great. So yeah, it's being human is very interesting.
It is. Well, I was just gonna say, I guess I could be a great actor because like I do the perseverating thing on a thought too. I'm not sure, but yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'll skip that opportunity for a career for now. But yeah, I don't know.
You're like, I might have to leave Massachusetts to do it, so I'm good.
No, I can't.
Unless they're filming a movie right here.
They do. They film a lot of movies right here now.
I know they do.
Yeah, you should.
They film movies all over, but a lot of things that film some random place actually cast in like still not there.
Of course, right? Yeah, that's the way.
And then they'll fly you there to shoot it.
Yeah. I had one more question for Eric before, and it was like from the last thing that we were talking about. Man, we've talked about a lot. So you growing up the way that you did you have the fears that Mike and I describe sometimes?
No.
Well, I guess you do, because you pray at night.
I mean,
just in case.
Yeah, and maybe this is, I'd have to really maybe think about it, because in that moment, I don't see it necessarily as fear. I don't know, maybe it's growing up in the church, it just felt like you brush your teeth, you do, it's just part of your routine.
So it's just more of a habit.
Yes. And maybe there's not a lot of explanation behind, necessarily why, because I feel like maybe it's just not the case, but the way we at least practiced in the Southern Baptist church, like, I don't know if we memorized like and attached Bible verses to, specific things. Like if someone asks, why do you pray? Well, according to, Romans 2, whatever. Or
that makes sense. That's where like the Bible quizzer over there would be like,
but also
sit up on your seat.
I'll never forget Acts 1:8, and you shall receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you.
Oh, jeez. No wonder you liked it. Yeah, now.
And something about in all of Judea until the ends of the earth.
Also a bukkake. Wow. Comes all over you?
Or maybe comes in you or something. No, seriously, look up.
There's Acts a lot 1:8. Of that language.
Look
Eric.
Up Acts 1:8.
There's so much gay language.
Acts 1:8, Acts 18. Is that your limit?
Well, it's just something. It's like certain things just stick in your brain.
Yeah.
These random things.
Romans
like
3:23. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God.
Oh, really? 3:23. I didn't know that one.
Man, I've got them too. I didn't Bible quiz because you Nazarenes are weird with that stuff. But but I did do like sword drills, which were if someone like they'd say 1 Corinthians 2:9. So you have to go there and you have to find it. So like
you said sword drill.
I did.
Like sword.
Yeah, because the Bible's the sword. It's
Oh, you're like, oh, I didn't Bible quiz you Nazarenes, but I did sword drilling. And I'm like, what?
I know. Everyone's weird to the other person.
We only cut chickens.